I think it's definitely intelligent. It definitely has its own intelligence.
Through the lens, they just look like circular balls of football size.
They do seem very intelligent, or at least intelligently guided.
Whatever it is, I think it's fantastic.
Intelligent?
Definitely. Oh, 100% intelligent. Definitely.
Countless people are fascinated by the idea of unknown intelligent life forms. The concept of making contact with such life forms is mind-blowing. But although many attempts have been made to establish contact, up to now we are still waiting for the first irrefutable evidence of such interaction. Wiltshire, England. A beautiful British county with lovely old cottages, sloping hills and golden wheat fields. Each year, this peaceful landscape attracts thousands of people who come to enjoy the beauty and uniqueness of Wiltshire in all its many facets. At the end of each day, when the tourists return to their hotels, something amazing happens. A whole different group becomes active. And as they emerge, Wiltshire changes face dramatically. At night time, Wiltshire is host of a group of individuals who keep a close eye on the nightly fields and the dark sky. These night watchers are after but one thing: the anomalous lights that appear and vanish mysteriously, that seem to be part of the landscape or the sky. But the lights come and go almost in secret, so that not many people even know they exist.
So you reckon there was many balls?
Yeah.
The darkness of the night makes it very difficult to determine what those lights are. It's hard to estimate their size or distance. And even though some of these night sightings are mind-blowing, the sightings done in broad daylight are much more intriguing and overwhelming. Tuesday, July the 18th, 2000, 12 minutes past 8 p.m. John Smith witnesses and films an extraordinary event. July the 26th, 1990. Steve Alexander films a small, bright object flying over a crop field. August the 10th, 2000. Kerry Blower sees and captures a mysterious spinning light. Strangely enough, the anomalous lights are not Wiltshire's only mystery. There's also the crop circle enigma. The majority of all crop formations appear in this British county. Anomalous lights and crop formations. Two major mysteries in one county. Is that merely a coincidence? Or are the strange patterns in the crop connected in any way with the mysterious lights? Early May 1999. Charles Mallet decides to spend the night in a crop formation at the foot of Milk Hill at Alton Barnes.
I look up at the sky at Sirius, the brightest star, and I look down, and there's a ball of light. The part of the formation I'm in is a flattened circle with a standing centre, with large, thick rape stalks, so the ball of light is just above the ground, and behind these stalks, just above the ground, in self-luminous, translucent, whitish orange, putting all of the stalks into silhouette. And it stayed there for up to a minute, and after this amount of time, just faded to nothing over 2-3 seconds.
Charles Mallet is not the only one to have witnessed a ball of light so close to a crop formation. John Smith filmed no less than 8 balls of light in a row. They all followed about the same track over this little crop circle at the foot of Woodborough Hill. A few weeks later, a beautiful and extremely complex formation appeared in the same field. Steve Alexander's footage also shows a formation in the adjacent field. And after Kerry Blow had captured her sighting, she discovered this little circle in the same field, slightly to the left of the light. In the year 2000, crop circle researcher and videographer Peter Sorensen shot a beautiful example of the connection between the lights and the crop formations.
There's the thing. A light. Yes.
And this remarkable footage was shot by Dominique and Constantine van Durkheim in 1992.
Here again.
The way these lights fly smoothly over the crop is very similar to John Smith's footage. To give you an idea of how physical, how real these lights are, take a look at another section of his footage and watch the reaction of the bird. The bird flies toward what it apparently perceives as food on the wing, but suddenly changes its mind just before snatching the light, clearly shocked by the discovery that its target is not ordinary prey. August the 5th, 1999. Several people climb Woodborough Hill to do a group meditation and a night watch. They witness a beautiful sunset. Then, around midnight, they suddenly see a light appear in the east. After a couple of minutes, the light dims. Then another one appears, and another. Over a period of 1 hour, more than 20 lights appear and vanish, leaving the night watchers in awe. That same night, and maybe even that very same moment, something amazing was happening behind their backs. This formation came down in a field belonging to a farmer who was furious when he discovered it the next morning.
In German, in Austrian, in whatever language you like in the world, it's Flanders.
The formation had mind-blowing features. The plants, for instance, had been laid down across and on top of each other, which gave the formation the appearance of a woven basket. Nevertheless, the angry farmer was convinced it was made by people. Cursing the vandals who had trespassed his property and ruined his crop, he kept everybody at a distance as one of his farm hands cut out the beautiful glyph.
Will you please leave?
The very next day, Crop Circle researchers Mark Fussell and Stuart Dyke visited the field to document on video footage the sad remnants. And against all expectations, it was in this formation, that wasn't even a formation anymore, that they filmed a ball of light shooting out of the crop. It's astonishing to see the similarity between this light and one filmed by Bert Janssen, producer of this video, inside the Martinsell Hill Formation of 2000. Bert filmed still another light inside the Liddington Castle Formation of 1999. Now this light is very similar to one filmed by Kerry Blower. It appeared on the same footage as the mysterious spinning light. What we are dealing with here is more than a coincidental relationship between these lights and crop formations. The statistical odds simply rule out coincidence as an option. At this point, it's irrefutable that there's a definite relationship between the crop circles and the lights. Let's, for example, take a look at the Barbary Castle case. In the summer of 2000, something strange appeared in a field below Barbary Castle. Standing on top of the ancient hill fort, people were amazed to see a dark shape in the crop. This, however, was not a crop formation as we know them. The plants were still standing straight, but they were 15 to 20 centimeters taller than the other plants in the field. In order to understand what had happened, we have to go back to the year before. On July the 23rd, 1999, this magnificent formation appeared on exactly the same spot. Two weeks after its appearance, on August the 7th, Donald Fletcher from London walks up to the top of Barbary Castle to look at the crop circle below. He is about to witness the probable cause of the dark ghost in the crop.
I saw two objects coming towards, from beyond the crop circle, coming towards the circle. One was slightly faster than the other, and I assumed that they were simply seagulls or something. But as I'm just about to look into the lens, one of these objects shot diagonally across, entered the field of vision of the camera, and I played along.
The speed with which the light accelerates is so high, he can hardly follow it with his camera. This outrageous acceleration is also a clear feature of the lights filmed by John Smith. But let's go back to the Barbary Castle case.
The crop circle itself did have, in my view, some sort of part to play.
That's exactly how it seems to be. Let's take a closer look. Notice the reaction of the light as it enters the formation. It clearly changes its track, following the perimeter of the formation, as if the light can see and knows where it's going. So many lights are seen near crop formations. So many lights are filmed near crop formations. The connection between the two is so obvious. But what is the exact nature of this connection? Are the lights energy forms, generated as a side effect of the crop formations? Or is it perhaps the other way round? Are the crop circles a side effect of the lights? In other words, are the lights responsible for the creation of the formations?
Just before dusk, there was a large flash of light. But if you was to describe the flash of light, it was what from over by them trees, and I was down that drove over there.
Yes.
And I was looking at it from that angle, and it was like it was wide at the bottom and went like that.
Started
In
on
1
the ground
second,
and went up into the
like
sky.
that.
Yeah.
Trees. And the light was sort of like that. And it seemed to go right up, didn't it, Fish?
Yeah, and I don't know if there was a bright
I
part.
don't know how I can describe its shape like that. It was only a second, like, you know, and that was it. And then we carried on with the party right here on the wagons. And we got up the next morning, that crop circle was in the field.
No matter how hard it might be to grasp that lights actually make these patterns in the crop, there are indeed indications that point in this direction. Several eyewitnesses claim to have seen lights actually making crop circles. One of them is Dutchman Robert van den Broeke. Robert has seen many balls of light on numerous occasions. One time, the lights even left traces of St. John and soot on the window frames of his house. Then, on June the 7th, 1999, Robert witnesses a small pinkish-purple light above a wheat field behind his house. He watches as the light turns into a large disc-shaped object, which appears to transmit some sort of energy release onto the crop. When Robert arrives at the spot only seconds later, the light has vanished, but right there is a brand new crop circle.
Een beetje van een geknetter in het gewas. En
he later stated that the downed crop was very hot. The whole circle seemed to be buzzing with the energy's heat. 3 years earlier, August the 11th, 1996. John Whaley comes rushing in the Barge Inn, the central meeting point of crop circle researchers at Alton Barnes. He has an unbelievable story to tell. He had spent the night doing a night watch on top of Oliver's Castle. It was a cold and wet night, and nothing happened. He fell asleep, but was awakened by a strange sound in the early morning hours. As he got up, he saw bright balls of light rushing over a wheat field below. He grabbed his video camera and pressed record. When we take a closer look at this remarkable footage, we see several interesting similarities between these lights and those filmed on different occasions in later years. For instance, once again we see the acceleration feature. Splitting of a light into two separate lights also was captured by John Smith. And how about this feature? No matter how far the lights travel from the camera's lens, they do not become smaller to our perception. Despite all these anomalous similarities, many people still believe the Oliver's Castle footage to be a hoax. The footage is simply too good to be true. But then, in the year 2000, scientist Dr. Eltjo Hazeloff from the Netherlands delivered what appears to be a convincing and ultimate proof.
If you perform trivial experimental physics to the plans in these crop circles, you can in fact deliver scientific evidence that these balls of light might very well have caused the crop circle. Inside crop circles, it was discovered 5 or 6 years ago that the nodes, which are the knuckles in the stems, are actually much longer, quite often. And it is suggested that this increase in length is a result of heat. The nodes get warm, they expand, it's a thermal expansion, and they remain long afterwards. So you can measure the increased node length.
And that's exactly what he did. He sampled several crop circles and very meticulously measured hundreds of nodes. The outcome was crystal clear. The nodes had expanded the most in the centres of the circles. The closer to the perimeter of the circles, the less the nodes had expanded. Dr. Hazeloff then compared this distribution model of node lengthening with several other mathematical models and discovered a 100% match with one of them. The mathematical model of electromagnetic radiation distribution of a point source.
If you take the electromagnetic model for a point source, which is a ball of light, it's a small source of electromagnetic radiation, and you look at the intensity distribution of this radiation on the floor level, then it's something you can calculate. It's easy, it's straightforward physics. You can compare this with the light intensity distribution from a light bulb hanging on the ceiling. Right below the light bulb there's a bright light, and towards the edges it gradually falls off towards darkness. And this can be determined quantitatively. If you know the height of the lamp, you know exactly what the light distribution is. And it turns out that the node lengthening, as measured in the field, corresponds perfectly to the distribution of a small electromagnetic source hanging above the field. And when I say perfectly, I mean perfectly. This is not rocket science, this is trivial experimental physics. And the statistical relevance is 100%. So when somebody says this crop circle was made by a ball of light, which is a very strange story, the physical evidence corroborates this perfectly. It perfectly supports these eyewitness accounts.
Dr. Hazeloff's paper was peer-reviewed, accepted and published in October 2000 by the internationally recognized scientific journal Physiologia Plantarum, the consequences of which were overwhelming. For until scientifically proven otherwise, it is now a scientifically accepted fact that at least some crop circles were generated by balls of light. Researchers and scientists were left baffled. These geometrically perfect formations, including pentagrams and even heptagrams, could never be the result of a natural phenomenon. Whether or not it's hard for us to swallow, there's only one conclusion that we can draw. The circle-making balls of light show intelligent behavior. In other words, we are dealing with an unknown, non-human intelligence. An intelligence that shows itself every now and then to people, and one which can, within seconds, lay patterns of the utmost complexity in our crops. But why? Why would it do that? Are the crop circles in fact communication attempts? Or are we simply random observers, and has this entire phenomenon nothing to do with us? Well, many eyewitnesses are convinced the lights did seem to respond to their thoughts. In other cases, the lights seem to instigate some sort of communication on a mental level. The night before Carrie Blower captured the mysterious spinning light on video, she felt what was about to happen.
I was at my friend's house last night and I was talking to Diane Krishna and Nancy Talbot, and I told them that I had a feeling that I wanted to film a luminosity. The very last thing I said to my friends was, I'm going to film a luminosity tomorrow.
For the first time in years, she took her camera, charged the battery, and prepared herself for something she knew was going to happen the next day.
I find it more than a huge coincidence. There has to be a link between my intention and what I actually filmed. I mean, look at the odds of that. The odds are huge.
In some cases, the interactions are quite subtle and of an unexpected kind.
Bizarrely, I didn't try to make any, I didn't instigate or try to instigate any interaction, which is naturally what I would have done. So in that sense, maybe there was some interaction, because in my rational, logical, everyday way, I would have been immediately trying to get some kind of link going or whatever.
Instead of doing something, Charles remained completely passive. It was as if his mind had been zapped.
Very weird, very weird. Strangely enough, as I was just saying, you'd think after an event like this, you would be really excited, like, wow, what was that, and all the rest of it. But I fell asleep immediately, which is really, I don't know, I've never quite figured that out, or why.
Many researchers have grown to believe that the lights not only have the ability to know what's on our minds, but also to play with our minds.
I think somehow those ball of light, they could sense the energy or the vibrations of a human being or consciousness, and so they appears according to what the people, their state of mind or their expectations, or
Japanese researcher Maki Masao visits Wiltshire on a regular basis to study the crop circles and the lights. As a professional debunker who already exposed many so-called mysteries, he first came over to Wiltshire to show the world there was no such thing as a crop circle mystery. From what he'd heard in Japan, he was convinced all crop formations were man-made, so he flew over to prove it. He failed. Overwhelmed by what he saw, heard and experienced, he realized he'd got himself involved in the greatest mystery of modern times.
July 1999, I was with a group of 11 Japanese with me. And
July 1999, Maki and his friends decide to do an experiment near Silbury Hill. One night they initiate a group meditation. They send out a prayer to the circle makers while sitting in this formation. Their request is for a brand new formation with 4 clear features. First of all, it must appear that very same night. Secondly, it must arrive somewhere in their immediate vicinity. Thirdly, it should arrive to their west. And finally, it must contain a Japanese element, like a house emblem or a Japanese family crest. If a new formation containing these 4 features is discovered the next morning, Mackie and his friends will know for sure it is their formation, their own personal reply from the circle makers. After finishing the meditation, they decide one prayer is not enough. So just after sunset, they drive off to Share Hill, where they continue the meditation in this crop formation. As Mackie plays the ocarina, all of a sudden his friends scream in awe.
Then when I was playing this, then these 5 people who are watching me yelled, "Wow, look at that!" And then I look at that, it was behind me, and there was the big ball of light came down, boom. Then what they say is it stopped, and after that going up again and disappeared.
After about 1 hour, they leave Share Hill and drive off to Oliver's Castle, where they finish part 3 of their meditation. There are other people present as well, performing their own meditations. All members of Mackie's group feel the energy in the air, almost like a presence of some sort. The next morning they decide to fly over the area in order to see if anything new has appeared in the fields. As they arrive at the airstrip, they run into one of the pilots who's all excited.
He found the new formation, and he explained it looks like the paper was folded like this, and it just looks like a Japanese, what you call, and the lady officer said, it's called a Japanese origami. And he said, oh yes, that's right, that Japanese origami was down there. And I was hearing...
As they fly over the brand new formation, they realize this indeed must be their personal gift from the circle makers. It appeared that very same night, close to where they started the meditation sequence, a bit to the west, and undeniably it is a Japanese symbol.
It just looks like a Japanese origami, and it also looks like a Japanese house emblem, family crest. It's a lot of Japanese touch in it.
After the flight, they visit the formation on the ground. Mackie and his friends are touched by its beauty. When they look at the map to determine the exact location of the formation, they realize it appeared close to Silbury Hill, lying on the imaginary line that divides in two the angle formed by the lines joining Silbury Hill, Share Hill, and Silbury Hill, Oliver's Castle.
Silbury Hills and Share Hill, Oliver Castle, and this is the origami. So yeah. It's about 30 degrees here, and it's exactly on the west, and very close. I don't know how many kilometers, and besides, it's right in the middle, 15 degrees. So
it's amazing.
If this happened in somewhere in England, then
they all feel their prayer has indeed been answered. What these people did not know is that same night, the other meditating group on top of Oliver's Castle also felt the energy in the air. One of them captured this light on a photo. And from where she took the photo, right behind her was the famous field where the mysterious balls of light were filmed as they created the 6-fold snowflake formation back in '96. Little did she know that only a few miles away, the Japanese origami formation was about to be created.
Yes, right.
Yes.
It's all yours.
Okay.
A few hours later, Stuart Dyke went to the origami and shot some video footage.
We were here on a quite a late afternoon. I think it was possibly a Sunday. And we were taking some normal sort of video shots around the formation itself. And as we came to the rear of the formation, looking towards the road as you see it now, I took a pole shot 25 foot in the air. And suddenly this object flew directly past the actual frame on the video. played it back on the video, actually in the tram line. We were, to our amazement, we saw it, you know. And we were jumping up and down, saying to our friend, you know, did you see it? Did you see it? And it flew directly over his head, and he hadn't seen it at all.
The origami case is a perfect example of the fact that we are not random observers of a phenomenon that ignores humanity.
Behind me, and there are the big ball of light came down, boom. Then what they say is...
Mackie and his group experienced a very clear interaction between their minds, their intention, and the unknown intelligence. They sent out a request. The intelligence tuned in, showed itself briefly, and granted the request. Success stories like these have attracted many researchers from all over the world. Some of them try to analyze the lights by means of all sorts of equipment.
Hij pakt dit, maar hij wordt in principe hier, het signaal van boven wordt in principe hiermee versterkt en hier wordt hij mee vastgehouden.
The Avebury-Truslove Formation, you know, the big magnetosphere, or whatever it is, moire pattern. That one measured very interesting. The spacer was negative and the standing crop was positive in Earth in a formation like that.
So far, most attempts to analyze have been without much success. It is as if the lights decide when to show themselves and to whom. In almost all cases, they appeared in front of people with video cameras. It is as if they want to be filmed, not analysed.
The way I stuck to the object so fastidiously, it was as if this object wanted to be filmed anyway, as if it jumped into the shot.
I'm sure if they didn't want us to see them, we wouldn't see them. So I'm assuming that they're appearing in front of us because they're giving us a bit of a show, or just letting us, a bit of confirmation that this is in truly a remarkable star.
Wiltshire County plays host to another group that for years now has demonstrated a huge interest in the phenomenon of the lights. The British Army. On some occasions, their helicopters turn up at the scene within seconds after a light has appeared, as if they know in advance what is going to happen where. Yet, the Defence Department has consistently denied the very existence of the lights, as confirmed by former helicopter pilot instructor Paul Spragg.
I'd never, in the Pewsey Vale area, seen an object that, on investigation, was not identifiable.
This is strange. Lights have been seen chased by Army helicopters, playing cat and mouse with Army helicopters. Not only does the Army see the lights, they show the utmost interest in the phenomenon. Why would they lie? What are they hiding from us? The presence and interest of the Army, however, is not as simple and straightforward as one might expect. Many personal sightings of these lights have occurred with a striking absence of the Army. And in the case of John Smith's encounter with the lights, this army helicopter did turn up within seconds after the first light had appeared, but it didn't seem to see the lights. The helicopter was clearly searching, but even though the second light flew within the field of vision of the pilots, they did not see it, and after a while they left the area. This seems to indicate that in spite of all the state-of-the-art equipment, the army sometimes is unable to pick up the lights. They just cannot see them. Again, it seems to be the lights who are in control. They decide who is to see them. After many years of research, we still don't know what or who the lights are. Are they extraterrestrial? Aliens from outer space? Or are they entities that are part of our own planet Earth, like nature divas, guardian spirits of ancient sites, or fairies, like our ancestors used to call them? Could they be the souls of those who passed away? Swiss psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung once said he believed our ancestors still to be in our midst, appearing from time to time as light spheres. Whatever it is that we're dealing with here, it's a very complex phenomenon. In the very center are the lights, an unknown, non-human intelligence capable of things we can barely comprehend. Around the light, there are other players involved, such as the beautiful crop formations and the people with which they interact. The lights keep us focused by appearing in front of us out of the blue, or by giving us more symbols in the crop. And bit by bit, year after year, they seem to build up the excitement. They raise the tension. Until some years ago, the lights were only seen occasionally. But recently, their number and the frequency with which they appear have grown considerably. Whatever is going on, it's building up to something. Whatever or whoever those lights are, they seem to be on the verge of making conscious contact with humanity. The question is, who is going to unravel this mystery first? The researchers or the army? It will be a neck-to-neck race, and it's only a matter of time. One thing is for sure though, whoever resolves this mystery will contribute something to humanity that will make the moon landing pale in comparison. Conscious contact with an unknown intelligence.